Morton Wilson is a Hong Kong-based music producer and director of Schtung Music. He has worked with artists, composers and arrangers from Hong Kong, China and across the Asian region for the past 25 years. APV recently paid a visit. We started by asking him how he came to Hong Kong and the reason for his label's distinctive title.
I was working in New Zealand in Auckland, and we'd had a band called Schtung, which sort of imploded halfway through the second album. And my musical partner and school friend from years, Andrew Hagen, he and I had sort of been asked to write a bit of music for documentaries and stuff. And without any plan, we'd sort of got to a point where we were doing some film soundtrack work in Auckland, early days of the New Zealand film industry. But there was very little work, like 3 features a year. So he went to London, I went to New York. I should have gone to LA, I guess, in hindsight. But either way, you know, we were early 20s. There was no way we were going to even get a look in. But a friend was shooting documentaries here, and someone said, go to Hong Kong. There's a movie every week being made. And so we had enough money for 3 months, got on a plane, had an ad show reel, a few corporate doco type things, and just got here and shopped around. And we got a feature in the first month called Aces Go Places 2, which was quite a big one. It was a big comedy hit. And then the ad work took off, and basically we just stayed.
The move from New Zealand to Hong Kong is a big one culturally. So have there been any language barriers?
In terms of Cantonese, it wasn't really a barrier, and there were enough producers. And I mean, people forget the beauty of Hong Kong is that local Chinese are pretty well naturally bilingual, if not trilingual. So it wasn't a problem, you know.
So how did the business start? And how did he find the landmark Kennedy Road Studios?
By the mid-80s, basically, we were spending so much time and money at Crown that Andy and I, between us, couldn't really cope. So I'd be finishing sessions at Crown with the recording, and he'd have to be writing stuff. So he'd installed I think an 8-track at home. I had a 4-track at home for demo writing, and it was clear that we needed a producer. So we went from a partnership to a company. We brought in a lady called Lee Casey, who was an agency producer, and we needed space, and we saw this building, and pure luck got to the guy, the one family member who owned it, who was sort of open to the fact that a music company could rent it, because they'd had it empty for 20 years. So we were fortunate. We got in '86, and we bought a 2-inch 24-track. I mean, we got the real deal, and a great big Soundcraft desk. And at one point we rented 3 of the 4 stories. We had, this room was one of 5. But we've sort of consolidated now. We've just got the 2 control rooms, because the technology now, you don't need 5 rooms with multi-tracks, you know. But we kept working at Crown for several years. We had to, you know, do all of them, and then we took another floor and put in another couple of studios, and then we went digital and basically bought it all in-house.
Wilson has produced for a great many of Hong Kong's biggest talents. Does he think it's easy to be a successful Canto-Pop star?
The 2 problems, if you will, one is the business. The pop music business in Hong Kong traditionally was sort of, the only show in town was TVB, and TVB have done a lot to foster entertainment, but TVB entertainment was sort of lowest common denominator. It was you know, something for everyone. So if you were coming up as a pop star, you needed to get on TVB, which meant it was pop, very much pop in inverted commas. The other thing that a lot of people don't realize is, but I've worked with some terrific lyricists, Cantonese lyricists, is that Cantonese, obviously as a language, frankly, it's a bitch to sing because of the tones and the inflections within the language when you speak it, that it's quite hard to get lyrical, because you sort of feel you need to go up when the melody would be going, you know, it's hard. But for a canto artist to sort of really crack it in terms of artistic integrity is difficult, because you've still got the machinery of the business working against you. You've still got the fact that it's a hard one to write for. I think what's happening now is that Canto-Pop is increasingly becoming Mando-Pop. And with the opening up of China and the fact that, you know, Taiwan's always had an influence on the industry here, is that things are loosening up and there's some really cool stuff being done.
The music you can hear comes from one of Wilson's most recent productions, a fusion of 1930s Shanghai with modern beats. It combines musicians at the forefront of today's Mando-Pop movement with some of China's most acclaimed classical players. We asked Wilson how the project began.
In 2002, I got an email from a guy called Ian Widgery, who was coming out here from London, and with his wife, who had a contract here. She teaches dance, and he said, I'm a London-based sort of remix producer and DJ looking for some work while I'm here. So he came in, we met, and we had the spare room, and he joined, and for a few weeks I hardly spoke to him. He did a bit of commercial work, and Anne got some stuff happening, and then we got talking, and I played him the Divas stuff, and he played me his stuff, and it was like, okay, let's try this. And so we did 4 in this room, and he just did his magic on it, basically. And it so happened that EMI hold the copyright on all of that Pathé stuff, and Hans was there, and we'd done the Bowie thing recently, and I said, I want to do a sort of a joint venture deal or something. So we spoke to Norman Cheng, who was then chairman, and okay, we signed it up, and we did it like a 50-50 deal where we basically delivered the album, they released it, and it went really, really well. In the meantime, I'd been thinking, I want to do something more, and I've got a lot of the old Shaw Brothers movies. They were all being released on DVD. So there were some great tracks, and so Ian and I basically said, let's do the same thing but do it on our terms, and we won't go through a major. So it took some time. Retrochine is essentially going to evolve. We're already into volume 2. And Retrochine as a series will be where a lot more of my and Ian's attention is going to be focused, because there's such a wealth of stuff out there.
Finally, what are his plans for the future?
I'd like to keep working with the people I'm working with, and meet new people to work with at the same sort of rate that I have been for the last 20 or 30 years, which is, you know, every year or two someone will come along and join the team. Music's been kind to me. I've evolved, you know, films and then the album stuff, and I think now, you know, I just want to grow old gracefully with the industry and work with a new generation coming up, which it's a treasure. I just genuinely enjoy it so much, working with the guys I'm working with.